Why do some people with average skills succeed, while others with exceptional talent fail? Why does the graduate with perfect grades struggle to keep a job, while someone with no formal training becomes the best in their field? Maybe you've felt this yourself. You look at others who seem more talented, more educated, more naturally gifted, and you think, I can never compete with them. But what if I told you that talent is overrated? What if the real difference between success and failure has nothing to do with how skilled you are when you start, but everything to do with how you show up every single day? This is the story of two people in the same kitchen. One had everything, the other had nothing, but only one succeeded. Stay with me until the end, because this will change how you see yourself forever. In the heart of a bustling city stood the Grande Maison restaurant, famous for its elegant French cuisine and demanding standards. The head chef, Chef Laurent, was known for two things: his perfectionism and his ability to spot potential in people. On the same Monday morning, two people joined his kitchen. The first was Alex Chen, 25 years old, a culinary school graduate with top honors. He had studied under renowned chefs, traveled to Paris for training, and his knife skills were flawless. When he walked into the kitchen on his first day, he carried himself with confidence that bordered on arrogance. "I've trained at Le Cordon Bleu," he told the other cooks, adjusting his pristine white chef's coat. "This should be easy." The second was David Martinez, 23 years old, who had never been to culinary school. He couldn't afford it. He had spent the last 3 years washing dishes at a small diner, watching cooks work, teaching himself from YouTube videos late at night. When he walked into the Grande Maison kitchen, his hands trembled. His chef's coat was borrowed and slightly too big. He didn't know half the French terms the other chefs used. But David had something else, something that couldn't be taught in any school. From day one, the difference was clear. Alex arrived exactly on time, never early. He completed his tasks with technical precision, but no extra effort. When asked to help others, he would glance at the clock and say, "That's not my station." He knew he was talented, and he believed that was enough. David arrived 30 minutes early every morning. He watched everything, asked questions, stayed late to clean even the corners no one checked. When a colleague struggled, David would finish his work, then quietly help them. Chef Laurent watched them both, saying nothing. At night, David would lie awake, anxiety churning in his stomach. Am I good enough? Everyone here went to school. They know things I don't. Maybe I don't belong. But every morning, he showed up anyway. 6 weeks passed. The kitchen settled into its rhythm. Alex remained competent, but detached. David remained humble, but hungry to learn. Then, one Friday, during the morning prep, Chef Laurent made an announcement that changed everything. "In 3 months, I'm opening a second restaurant. I need a sous chef, someone to help me build the kitchen from the ground up. I've been watching all of you. 2 people have caught my attention, Alex and David." The kitchen went silent. "For the next month, I will test both of you. You'll each lead different sections, handle high-pressure services, create new dishes. At the end, one of you will become my sous chef. The other," he paused, "will remain in your current position." Alex smiled confidently. "This is obvious," he thought. "I have the training, the credentials, the technique. David's a nice guy, but he's not even a real chef." He approached Chef Laurent after the meeting. "Chef, I appreciate the opportunity, but honestly, Is this really necessary? My resume speaks for itself. Chef Laurent's expression didn't change. Then the next month should be easy for you. David felt his chest tighten. Fear whispered in his ear. You can't compete with Alex. He's better than you, faster, more skilled. This is embarrassing. But then he remembered why he started cooking. Not for glory, not for titles, because he loved it, because every dish he made was a way to bring joy to someone's day. He took a deep breath and thought, I may not be the most talented, but I can be the hardest working. The first week of the competition began. Alex performed his duties exactly as required. His technical skills were undeniable. But when a junior cook made a mistake and broke down crying during service, Alex rolled his eyes and muttered, amateurs. David's skills were rougher, but his presence was different. When that same junior cook panicked later in the week, David stayed calm. It's okay, he said gently. Here, let me show you. We'll fix this together. Then came the busiest Saturday night of the month. The restaurant was fully booked. 3 private parties, a food critic rumored to be in the dining room. Halfway through service, the main oven malfunctioned. Disaster, Chef Laurent gathered the team. We adapt, we improvise. Who has solutions? Alex's technical knowledge froze. This isn't in the recipe. How am I supposed to work without proper equipment? This isn't my fault. David stepped forward, hands shaking but voice steady. Chef, I worked at a diner with broken equipment for 3 years. I can modify the dishes to use the salamander and stovetop. It won't be perfect, but we can finish service. For the next 3 hours, David worked harder than he'd ever worked. His hands burned, his back ached, sweat poured down his face, but he didn't stop. He helped every station, adjusted every dish, kept the team's spirits up when panic tried to take over. Alex, meanwhile, did his assigned tasks but no more, complaining under his breath about the unacceptable working conditions. When the last order was served, the kitchen staff collapsed in exhaustion. They had survived. Chef Laurent stood in the center of the kitchen, looking at both young men. He still said nothing, but his eyes saw everything. The next morning, Sunday, the restaurant was closed. Chef Laurent asked both Alex and David to come in early. They stood in the empty kitchen, exhausted from the night before. Chef Laurent placed 2 knives on the counter. One was beautiful, perfectly balanced, expensive, gleaming. The other was old, worn, the handle wrapped with tape. Alex, the chef said, picking up the beautiful knife. This knife cost $800, forged by a master craftsman, perfect weight, perfect edge. Do you know what happens if I never use it? If I leave it in the drawer because I'm too proud to get it dirty? He set it down. It becomes worthless, beautiful, but worthless. He picked up the old knife. This knife cost $20 from a restaurant supply store. I've had it for 15 years. The handle is broken. The blade has been sharpened so many times, it's half its original size. But do you know why it's my favorite? He held it up to the light. Because I use it every single day. I care for it, I trust it, and it has never let me down. Chef Laurent looked at Alex. You are the $800 knife. Impressive credentials, beautiful resume, perfect technique, but you refuse to get dirty. You think your talent is enough, so you don't push yourself. You don't help others. You wait for recognition without earning it through effort. Alex's face reddened. The chef turned to David. You are the $20 knife, rough around the edges, self-taught, imperfect, but you show up every day ready to work. You help others before yourself, when the kitchen was in crisis. You didn't complain about fairness, you found solutions. Let me tell you something both of you need to understand. In 30 years of cooking, I have seen hundreds of talented chefs. Do you know how many succeeded? He paused. Maybe 1 in 10. The others? They relied on talent and quit when things got hard. They thought their skills would carry them, so they never developed discipline. They never learned that attitude. How you show up, how you treat people, how you handle pressure matters more than raw ability. Talent is your starting point, but attitude determines how far you go. He looked directly at David. You may not be the most skilled chef in this kitchen right now, but you have something I can't teach: humility, work ethic, and genuine care for the craft. Then to Alex, and you may be the most skilled, but skill without character will never build a great kitchen. Talent without teamwork will never create a successful restaurant. You both have 2 weeks left in this competition. Alex, if you want the position, show me you can be more than just technique. Show me you care about something beyond yourself. David, keep doing exactly what you're doing, but start believing you belong here, because you do. The conversation changed something in both men. Alex went home that Sunday and couldn't sleep. For the first time in years, he felt ashamed. He thought about every time he'd looked down on others, every time he'd refused to help because it wasn't his job, every time he'd coasted on his credentials instead of his effort. Monday morning, Alex arrived early, not exactly on time. Early. He watched David prepare mise en place and, for the first time, asked, "Can I help?" It was awkward at first. His pride battled with his newfound awareness. But slowly, he started to change. He stayed late. He taught a junior cook a technique instead of criticizing them. When someone needed help, he stepped in. It wasn't perfect. Old habits don't disappear overnight, but the effort was there. David, meanwhile, began to believe in himself. Chef Laurent's words echoed in his mind. You belong here. His technique improved rapidly because he was no longer paralyzed by self-doubt. He started contributing ideas for new dishes. His confidence grew, not arrogance, but quiet assurance. The last test arrived: create an original dish showcasing their personal philosophy. Alex created a technically perfect dish, precise plating, complex techniques, borrowed from his culinary school training. It was impressive, but impersonal. David created something simpler, a dish inspired by his mother's cooking, elevated with techniques he'd learned at the restaurant. It wasn't as complex, but it had heart. Every element told a story. When Chef Laurent tasted both dishes, he was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Alex, your dish is flawless. Every technique is perfect. Alex smiled, thinking he'd won. But it has no soul. I don't taste you in this dish. I taste your training. He turned to David's plate. David, your dish is simpler. But I taste passion. I taste story. I taste someone who cooks because they love it, not because they want to impress. That evening, Chef Laurent gathered the entire kitchen staff. I've made my decision about the sous chef position. The room held its breath. But first, I want to acknowledge something. Alex, you've grown more in these last 2 weeks than in all your weeks before. I've seen you help others. I've seen you arrive early. I've seen you try. That matters. Keep that going, and you have a bright future. Alex nodded, humbled but grateful. However, the position goes to David. David's eyes filled with tears. He couldn't speak. He thought about washing dishes 3 years ago. wondering if he'd ever have a chance. He thought about every doubt, every fear, every moment he almost gave up. Chef Laurent placed a hand on his shoulder. "You earned this not because you're the most talented, but because you showed me something rarer than talent. Consistent excellence in your attitude. Every single day." 6 months later, the second restaurant opened successfully. David led the kitchen with the same humility and work ethic that got him there. And Alex? He stayed at the original Grand Maison. But he was different now. He became a mentor to junior cooks, sharing not just technique, but also the lesson he'd learned. Talent means nothing without character. My friend, maybe you've felt like David, like you don't have enough education, enough skill, enough natural talent to succeed. Or maybe you've felt like Alex, like your credentials should be enough, wondering why effort is even necessary when you're already good. Here's what I need you to understand. Talent is your starting line. Attitude is your finish line. Talent gets you in the door. Attitude keeps you in the room. Talent impresses people for a moment. Attitude earns their respect forever. Remember 3 truths. First, skills can be learned. Attitude is a choice you make every morning. Second, the person who tries hard with average ability will always outlast the person who coasts on exceptional ability. Third, success isn't about being the best when you start. It's about being consistent, humble, and committed every single day after. So here's my challenge for you. Stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Stop waiting until you're good enough to start trying. Stop thinking talent is what matters most. Instead, ask yourself, how do I show up? Do I help others? Do I stay when it's hard? Do I keep learning even when I'm tired? Because those questions determine your future more than any credential ever will. You may not be the most talented person in the room, but you can be the most committed, the most helpful, the most consistent. And in the end, that beats talent every single time. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever doubted yourself because others seemed more talented, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling me, what's one way you'll choose attitude over talent this week? Let's build a community of people who show up, work hard, and lift others up. I'll be back with another story to keep you growing. Until then, remember, it's not about where you start. It's about how you show up every day after.